welcome to Marshmellow Reads. I'm Marcy, and today I have nine books to talk to you about. These are the 8 books I finished in June, and then one that I just couldn't get myself to finish. I didn't feel like putting these in any particular order, so we're just gonna go chronological. And the first book I finished in June was City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the first book in the Divine City series. Not that I need to start any new series, but here I am. This was for my 30 under 30 challenge. If you want to know more about that, here is that video. But this was fun. I had a lot of fun with this one. This is a fantasy / mystery series with some like old-timey Russian and Indian influences, which I was really digging. And as much as I like medieval Europe as a fantasy setting, it's refreshing to read about literally anything else. So on the continent that this story takes place on, there used to be these divine beings, these divinities that were very much real and very powerful and performed miracles for the people of this land. But then these people were conquered and their divine protectors were killed, and their entire histories and religions was erased and censored. So these colonizers did everything they could to force them to become civilized and just getting rid of anything that was their own and enforcing, whatever new nonsense they made. And you'll get to see how well that went for them. And for our main character, we have Shara, a young diplomat who is secretly a spy who happens to know a lot about the divinities, even though she shouldn't know like anything. She gets called into the city of Bulakov to solve a murder alongside her secretary / bodyguard, Sigurd, who's like my new favorite character this year. I love him. He's wonderful. Very scary, but also funny. The first little bit of this story did drag. I think that the first court scene could have really been cut out. I understand it was meant to demonstrate how times have changed for these people and how even having a religious symbol on your restaurant wall or whatever is punishable by death or whatever. It's intense, and I understand what it's trying to do, but it didn't do the job of hooking me into the story. Maybe it could have been put later into the book, but I think it was a mistake to put it right at the beginning. But if you can get through that, I think the rest of it flows fairly well. I did enjoy the political intrigue as well. Shara, she is working for her aunt, basically, who is this bigwig in the capital city or whatever, the headquarters of power. And Shara has to do basically whatever she says because she's been exiled from her home for a bunch of years. There's a lot of stuff going on. I like seeing Shara interact with her old fiance or almost husband dude. They had fun interactions and my heart. Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the characters interact with each other and work to solve the mystery and figure out what really happened to the divinities and if they're still around. Stuff changes in this book. And this was originally recommended to me by John, my husband, and one of the reasons why he really liked this specifically is, yes, it's the first book in a series, but so much stuff changes. The status quo is absolutely changed from what it was in the beginning of the book to the end. Big changes. Not to get into any spoilers or anything, but I liked that. I like when things are different and there is a reason that you are telling this story. I mentioned this in my mid-year freakout tag video, but I love Sigurd. He's one of my new favorite characters, and my favorite scene of his in this book is just absolute madness, badassness. He is, I forget the reason why, but he is going to face down this massive kaiju divine monster, and he strips down basically butt naked with just a knife, and he wins. He wins that battle. What? I love it. He's absolutely bonkers in all the best ways. And then the other side of him, besides this brute force of strength and madness, he's also has Shara's back. Yes, she saved him from this horrible life of imprisonment and he's devoting the rest of his life for her, but I love how he supports her. Like, she's trying to figure out this mystery of this alley. People keep disappearing. Like, there's some sort of secret passageway going on, but she doesn't know what exactly is triggering it. So she's trying all these sorts of different things, like throwing coins down the alleyway to see which ones stick or which ones stand, whatever. And he's with her the whole way, and I love that sort of devotion. This book had great world building, good plot, good characters. I think this was a great read. Yes, a bit on the longer side, but it's fantasy. What do you expect? I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. We'll definitely be continuing this series at some point, whenever I'm ready. On to The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I didn't plan on reading this one at all. Like, it wasn't even on my Goodreads TBR list, but I went to the library one day, and I haven't really done that because I've been trying to read the physical books I already own. But I went anyway, and I saw this book in their new releases section, and I was like, well, it's kind of short, it's a mystery, it's gonna go quickly. And it did. It does read very quickly. So I picked it up. And I liked it. I honestly didn't expect to like it because a lot of new releases in the mystery thriller genre haven't really been hitting it for me, but this one, for whatever reason, did. So we're following Jess, who is a bit of a mess. She just quit her job in the UK, and because she's alone and broke, decided to travel to Paris to meet up with her brother, who is living in this Paris apartment in this very fancy apartment complex. But when she gets to his apartment, it's empty. He left his phone and wallet there, but he's not there. So, mystery! Where did he go? Hours turn into days, and her brother still hasn't shown up, so she's freaking out and is trying to talk to the other tenants in this building, and her brother's boss, he's a journalist, apparently working on some story that might have been why he's missing. It's nothing amazing, but I think it was fun. It was a very quick read. It didn't feel like it dragged or overstayed its welcome. I did find it amusing that the author is British, and this is obviously taking place in Paris. And I noticed that a lot of people kept choking on their wine and spilling it everywhere, dark red wine, just spilling it all over these fancy rugs and couches and just spitting it everywhere multiple times in this book. And objectively, that's just funny. And I'm imagining this is what this specific British author imagines of the French, and I think that's funny. It did have its couple twists and turns here and there, so I had fun trying to figure out okay, who's the culprit? What's their motive? You know that kind of stuff. The fun parts of mystery thrillers, at least for me. Even though the ending did feel like a sort of social justice fantasy, I still really enjoyed it. Overall, a surprising find, and honestly, I'm a nosy bitch, and I love getting to read all of the juicy family secrets. So this one was a solid 4 out of 5 stars for me. Yee. Next up, we have another surprise find for me. This is You've Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. I definitely struggled a little bit trying to figure out a way to describe this book. So it definitely feels like a cross between contemporary lit and also contemporary romance in all of the best ways. Our main character, Fave, has had an incredibly difficult time. It's been 5 years since the car accident that killed her husband and spared her, and she's just barely able to survive, just getting through each day. But now she's finally decided to try to get back into the dating game because she's still young. She's 26, 27, something like that. And she, doesn't want to spend the rest of her life alone. So it's gonna take some time, but she's gonna get back into it. Wow. We have drama and romance just immediately right into the first few pages of this book. I would say full on smut the first few pages. Holy shit, that was hot. Not expected, but very much welcome. Honestly, that scene was hotter than many other climaxes that I've read in other contemporary romance books. So that was exciting. Very much hooked me into this story. So great. She's got the sex done. She's done that. But now she's struggling to get into her feelings and trying to get more involved with these people that she's seeing. So with Nasir, one of the guys that she started seeing, she's taking it real slow. And he's being really understanding. Like, they are just friends. Only friends. Only friends for now. We'll see what it's in the future. Like, they kiss at some point. Like, they have some romantic moments. But for the most part, they're keeping it just friends. Even so, Nasir's dad ends up getting Fave this fantastic gallery spot in this fancy art place, art gallery on this unnamed tropical Caribbean island where Nasir and his dad are from. So she takes him up on it, goes to the island with Nasir to stay at Nasir's dad's place. His name is Alim. And it turns out Alim is a celebrity chef to top it off. So not only is he very handsome and charming, an amazing cook, very wealthy, like he's the whole package, really. And Faye and Alim really hit it off, like, immediately. And it's really cute. And they end up spending a lot of time together. Nasir has to go to work somewhere. So he's off for a week. And Alim and Faye just talk and hang out for, like, a whole week by themselves in this secluded, gorgeous mountain house surrounded by, like, gorgeous, like, wildlife and nature. It's beautiful. And one night they're out on the porch or patio, whatever, talking, and they have this heart-to-heart because both of them have lost a spouse. Alim's wife, Nasir's mom, died in a drowning accident like 20 years ago, so it's been a long time for him. But he's still healing, and on top of that, you know, talking about their grief and, like, that whole journey, they also talk about being bisexual, because both of these dudes are bisexual, and I love that. It was so unexpected. And then I don't even want to get into what happens next, because, like, it just threw me for a loop. I was not expecting what I got, but I really did enjoy what I got once I understood what was happening. And, like, it was so messy, but it felt realistic, and I think that's great. I gave this one a very loved 5 out of 5 stars. This author, they also wrote Pet. This has been on my TBR for a while, and I guess I should probably check it out because I really enjoy their writing in this, so I'm probably going to enjoy that one. Nice. On to a book I didn't really like that much. This is Concrete Island by J.G. Ballard. Another one from my 30 under 30 list, and I just picked this up because I think I saw Ariel Bessett mention it in one of her videos, and I don't know, I haven't really read a lot of, like, super metaphorical and literary books in a while, so I figured I'd give this one a shot. This is like a vaguely sci-fi, dystopian, literary fiction novel for sure. So one day on his home from work, Robert Maitland, while driving his very fancy Jaguar, crashes over the concrete wall on this high-speed highway and onto the concrete island below, and he's injured and trapped. And he can't get any of the drivers passing by to stop for him. Like, I think people look at him, but it's for like a split second. They're going so fast that they won't even stop for him. And that's supposed to, like, mean something about society, I guess. And then he figures out that he's not alone on this island. There's like 2 other people there, and he's stuck, and no one's gonna help them. Even the 2 people there won't help them. I don't know. I'm really not sure what I was supposed to take from this. Like, Maitland is a cheating asshole rich boy that I didn't care about at all. Like, and the only other 2 characters on this island feel like gross puppets, really. Like, we've got Proctor, the tramp, this really gross depiction of this old man who was disabled in a carnival accident, like a high wire trapeze accident, and I did not like how this book was describing him, and it felt like he was infantilized and I don't know, it was weird. And then the other person on this island, Jane, she oscillated from being described as weirdly sexual to weirdly bitchy and, like, nothing in between. Neither of these people felt like real people, not in the way that Maitland was described. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I didn't really care for that. And I know this is all supposed to be metaphorical and literary and shit, but I couldn't get into that aspect of the novel because I couldn't get past the weird characterizations. So, yeah. And I honestly probably should have DNF'd this, but it was only like 240-ish pages, so it was quick. And I didn't want to be beaten by this book, so I pushed through, but I didn't get anything out of it, so I don't know why I finished it. And I guess the one thing I got out of it was that if you're only ever paying attention to yourself until you need something from others, that's bad. Like, yeah, I agreed. I don't know. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. Like, I'm guessing other people like it. Like, clearly there are good reviews for this book, but I just, it's not for me. This is one that I DNF'd. I think I started this right around the time I was reading Concrete Island, so I was very much in the mood to drop it if I wasn't into it. And unfortunately, I was not into Melt With You by Jennifer Dugan. It was sad. Like, you know, Pride Month, I was trying to read gay stuff, so I picked up this sapphic YA rom-com. It's about 2 single moms who start an ice cream truck together, and their daughters are forced to work together because of money for this summer before they go off to college, even though they are ex-best friends and exes in that way too. Except that, I don't know, it's just, the entire plot is the miscommunication trope, which I hate with my very being. And even the quirky ice cream names couldn't save this one for me. I ended up dropping it at 26%. It was right after the main character literally states in like the dialogue or like in the monologue to the readers that she and her ex-BFF could not talk like real adults because they were stuck in an ice cream truck for like days together. But even in this situation, she couldn't bring herself to talk to her friend like an actual adult, like the real adults that they are, because she didn't want to. Just that was the only reason given, and I have no idea. Like the ex-BFF had no idea why the main character was mad at her. She didn't know. For an entire year, she had no idea. And I'll leave it at there. If you liked it, I'm glad you did. I just couldn't bring myself to finish. I was like, nope, I'm done. 26% is all you're gonna get from me. Then, instead of that one, I picked up We Were Never Here by Andrea Bartz. This was fun. I listened to this an audiobook and finished it basically in an entire work day. I was just like running through it. It was very intense. This is a mystery thriller following Emily, our main character, and Kristen, her best friend, on their annual backpacking trip. The first one that went poorly was when Emily was almost essayed, so trigger warning for that. But Kristen came in to save her, and they ended up accidentally killing the guy who was attacking Emily. And they hide the body and never talk about it again. And this is like a couple years later. They're ready to give backpacking another go. And they go to Costa Rica and have a fun time. But at the last night of their trip, Emily comes back to their hotel room and finds Kristen in a pool of blood and glass with another dead body. Oh no! How did this happen again? Yeah, so they end up hiding this body again, going home to the US, trying to live their normal lives, but it's not going well. Like, Emily is messed up. She is, it's like, how did this happen again? She's trying, rolling it in through her head, trying to figure out what happened. How were they really just had this bad of luck? And she's trying to figure that out, but also trying to be normal in her work and with her life and partner. But it's not going well because clearly something's going on here, and she's discovering more and more about what really happened. And poor Emily is up against this master manipulator, Kristen, and she's trying to distance herself from her, but the further she gets, the tighter Kristen's grip gets on her, and it's intense. It's very clearly a toxic friendship, and you kind of understand why through different bits, but it doesn't change like the fun part of it. Like knowing that Kristen is to blame doesn't spoil the story. It's more of finding out like why she's doing it and all the ways that Emily is like trying to get away from her. That part was fun. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. Fun read, but I guess definitely check out the trigger warnings if you're sensitive to those things. And then I found a sapphic romance that I actually liked. This is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is the first in the Brightfall series. I believe this is a new release as well, sometime in this past 6 months, I think. Like I said, this is a cute sapphic romance of our main character, or I guess one of the main characters, is obviously Delilah Green. She is absolutely my type. She's got black clothes, tattoo sleeves, big curly hair, sapphire eyes. Oh my god, she's very cute. And she's also a photographer trying to make it in New York City, and she's pretty broke. She definitely needs money, which is why she agrees to go back home to Washington in Bright Falls to photograph her stepsister's wedding. It's a very lavish wedding. Her stepsister and her stepmother come from money, and I mean, I guess so does Delilah, but it's a sort of like Cinderella situation where she has a long dead mom, a more recently dead dad, and her only living relatives really are the stepmother and stepsister. But the stepmom is the worst. She's super cold, very distant, did the bare minimum to parent Delilah. It was really just like a roommate situation. All of her focus was on the sister Astrid, and now Astrid is getting married to this hotshot guy, and it's like a 2-week long wedding process with a bunch of different wedding or pre-wedding events, and Delilah is gonna be forced to photograph it all for good money, which is the only reason why she's doing it. So she's there, she's grumpy, but you know, getting that cash, I guess. And then on the other hand, we have Claire, one of Astrid's best friends, who had also known Delilah when she was younger, but they didn't hang out because, you know, there was distance there. Claire is super cute. She is very much into the vintage style. It's not necessarily my style, but she is very cute. And Claire is a single mom who is a mother to a preteen, so just hormones and there going on. And she's also dealing with her flaky ex who's come crashing back into her and Ruby's life, and she doesn't know how to deal with that, and is he gonna leave again? So, you know, each of these girls has their own family, personal drama that they have to deal with, but they end up spending a lot of time together because Claire and Astrid's other close friend, Iris, hate her fiance. They very much do not want her to marry this awful man, so they kind of rope in Delilah into trying to figure out how to convince Astrid not to marry this guy. And, you know, some hijinks ensue. It's cute. Claire and Delilah have really good chemistry. Like, there's a little bit of history there, and they're kind of reconciling how maybe they weren't the best people to each other because of, you know, whatever distance was between them. But now they're hidden off. There's sparks. It's super cute. I am a sucker for any time there is a forced to share a bed trope. Yeah, it was good. It started it off for them. I was a fan. And Delilah is also really good with Ruby, teaching her how to do basic photography with an iPhone. Oh, it's just all around cute, good time. I loved it. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think if you are into romances, you're probably going to like this one too. Okay, this is my favorite book that I read this month. This is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This is another recent release, an adult fantasy with some horror elements. Definitely a lot of like dark fairy tale stuff going on. So when our main character Mara was 12 years old, her oldest sister was married off to the prince to forge a political alliance that is vital for the survival of her family's harbor city-state. And soon after, the oldest daughter dies tragically, and the middle daughter, Mara's only other sister, is shipped off in her place to marry this prince, and it does not go well for her. Yeah. And at the same time, Mara is shipped off to a convent to become a nun, or almost a nun, so that she doesn't produce an heir to contest any future heirs Prince Vorling has to the harbor city-state. And yeah, there's that kind of like political drama. And the middle sister keeps getting pregnant, but then losing it. Like, there's something going on there. Why is she getting pregnant but no heirs? Like, ugh. And Mara knows that if she doesn't do anything, her sister is probably going to die because of all these repeated pregnancies. So what can she do? She's 30, doesn't have a lot of skills, is almost a nun, but not really. So she seeks the help of this dust wife, this grave witch lady, to give her the tools that she needs to kill this prince. But first, she must complete 3 impossible tasks. And she does it, because it's a fairy tale. Yeah, she's going to do it. And part of it is constructing this bone dog. So basically like a pile of dog bones wired together and then some magic or something, and it becomes a dog, and it's very cute. It's a very good spooky boy. And along the way, they also meet up with an exiled soldier, a fairy godmother, and a literal demon chicken. I love that chicken. There are just so many things I loved about this book. Like, I loved that the convent that Mara was at was literally the house of Our Lady of Grackles. I love Grackles. Look at these absolutely adorable little freaks. I would absolutely, if I was forced into a convent, I guess, I'd be down with the Lady of Grackles. Hell yeah. I also really liked that Mara is a full-ass 30-year-old woman. Full-assed? I really liked that Mara is a 30-year-old woman still having adventures. As a 29-year-old woman myself, I appreciate that representation. Even more so for the Grave Witch and the Fairy Godmother. They're old as hell and still going on this adventure with Mara. Great stuff. And yeah, remember when I said there's a literal demon chicken with a demon in this chicken? I don't understand how you cannot immediately love it just knowing that. Like, yeah, so many spooky vibes, like kind of like Spirited Away plus Brothers Grimm sort of stuff. Like, I don't know, it's great. I loved it. I gave it a full 5 out of 5 stars. It was exactly the kind of spooky shit that I need and will gobble up each and every day. And then the last book I read this month was Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. I liked this one a lot. This is a sci-fi men-loving men romance. Good stuff. There is a galactic political romance where one of the life partners just died, but they have to remarry quickly, all to preserve this treaty between these two nations. This arranged marriage is between Jinan, the Imperial Prince Tom's widower, and Kiem, Tom's disreputable cousin. And they're so awkward. Like, Jinan is a very reserved man with a deep love of math and engineering, and he doesn't quite know how to act around Kiem for reasons. Kiem is known to be a social mess. Like, he's literally like in the tabloids, just like, oh God, why is this boy doing all these dumb things? And this political marriage is his opportunity to prove to his aunt, the emperor, that he has his shit together finally and he can have full adult responsibilities. Oh man, I felt so bad for Jinan. At first I thought it was like grief that he was feeling because Tom died, but like there's more to it than that. And like, he is so concerned with how Kiem will take each and every one of his actions and everything he says. Like, he's trying to, at all costs, prevent Kiem from blowing up at him. And this kind of reaction must have been learned from one of Jinan's previous partners. And yeah, you get to learn more about why that is and what's going on there. And Kiem doesn't understand. He's just trying to make Jinan feel as welcome in this weird situation as he can. And yeah, these two are learning how to communicate with each other and like how to work this out and make this marriage work. When they were in the tent together, huddling for warmth, And they still kept assuming that, what the other one wants, and that the other didn't want anything to do with them. And they're like, oh, just super awkward. Like, do you want this? Is this okay? And then when these two ding-dongs just finally let go and were open with each other, I ate that shit up. I liked it a lot. There was like the tiniest bit of miscommunication for like that third act breakup or like thing. Like, it's not a traditional third act breakup because of the political sci-fi stuff. So it made it much more interesting than it normally would have been. I was very much into it. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm legit sad that this is not a series. I thought it was. Ocean's Echo is coming out in November, but it's in the same universe, but with different characters. Hopefully we get to see a snippet of Jinen and Kiem, because I think they're adorable and want to see them thrive. But either way, I think I'm very excited to read Ocean's Echo because this one was so great. And you should check it out if it sounds good. Yeah! I don't know where all this energy came from. I have not had coffee yet today, and I still need to eat lunch, but I'm still going, and my mouth just keeps going and talking, and I'm gonna keep going. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna finish it off before I absolutely lose my mind. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Do something nice for yourselves. Get some sun, but maybe around sunset or sunrise, because it's really hot right now, at least where I'm from. And do something nice for others, like inviting them to a movie night, because who doesn't love movie nights? Okay, that's gonna be it for me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye! This was absolute chaos. I don't remember what I said. I hope it made sense.